All right. We're back.
We're
Finally.
we're back. Where the hell have we been?
Oh gosh.
Were we abducted by aliens?
That'd have probably been better than
Yeah,
having two weeks, 2.5 weeks of crud.
that was.
Um so yeah, we're back, folks. Sorry for the extended pause. Um Oddly enough, we both managed to in completely unrelated incidents.
In totally
Both
two different ways.
yeah, both managed to pick up a little bit of the creeping crud, and we're just sidelined.
We
So
we got the Rona.
yeah,
Well, we
or
had the Rona.
as the drinker puts it, the uh, unknown virus of unspecified origin or something like that. I can't remember the
Yeah.
exact. Um,
Well, I mean, that's what it was to us. We have no clue where we got it. We have ideas, but we don't really know.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely there was zero contact tracing on that one. It was.
And you and I never came into contact or face to
I'm
face
about
or
to
even
say we hadn't
close.
seen each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny that we both have had the almost exact same run of dodging it uh, and then managed to catch it
Yeah.
simultaneously.
I think it knew we were family, so it hit us at the same time.
Seriously.
I don't know.
So, yeah, no, we're back. Again, we apologize for the delay. We were hoping to maintain that consistency. A little bit out of our groove. So if we seem a little off tonight, or if this one's a short one, pardon the dust while we kind of get things. Um, yeah, blow that cartridge out.
Gotta get it going.
That's right. rub it,
Cause
rub it in the
tonight
carpet.
it's about this.
That's right. Tonight we are hopping into Super Mario Brothers 3. Um, and it's going to be kind of part of a series. So we did the Turtles. We've done Mario 2, and back to the Mario 2. And even our original episode, we discussed a little bit of the Wizard. So this is going to be kind of our next series. So we're going to do Mario 3. This will segue into the Wizard. Hopefully next week, or at least within the next 2 weeks. I believe you still got you're still do a rewatch.
Yeah, I still need to do a rewatch. I think we all need to do a rewatch.
Okay.
All three of us. So I think we need to maybe plan a night of it because I know that you need to look at Tombstone all the way through. I still need to see Willow, and we all three need a rewatch of The Wizard.
Yeah, yeah. Um, no,
Sounds like a lot of pizzas in our future.
no kidding. And then I have the original cartridge still. It's just in storage, and I'm not going to go dig for it right now. I'd have to move several large boxes. So this is the closest I get. It's a Mario Brothers 3 coaster. Um, that I
I
will
will not be using mine as a coaster.
set my whiskey glass on. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no. I mean, this is the real deal. There you go.
Totally legit.
It's legit.
So
Not a
yeah,
coaster.
now we'll dive on into Mario 3 tonight. Like I said, it'll be a segue, so we'll have like a little bit of a theme going. And ideally that's kind of going to be our goal, I guess, is maybe let each one kind of flow to the next. Even if it's off a
Yeah.
random off a random like 2-minute segue, you know.
We have like a 2 to 10 minute rant about something, or we go down this rabbit hole, and we're like, hey, let's make that an episode, and it pretty much could be what happens. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, we're gonna do our best attempt to keep it all tied together and just segue into the other, just like he said, and. I don't know. We'll see where it goes from there. I mean, the Wizard. Once we do it, it's got a lot of stuff in it that we could segue into.
Yeah, and in fact, I really, really want to secure a power glove for the Wizard episode.
We know someone who has one.
Do we?
Hmm. He's not with us tonight. He's
Oh,
usually,
you
but
know, I don't know that I realized he had one.
he does in box.
Okay.
It's in the box. It's not in very bestest of shape, but yeah.
Yeah. Um,
That is if we can convince him to ever show himself on camera.
I know. But I'm looking at a few. Um, uh, there's some on Etsy. Some guys put like little LEDs in them. They go ahead and cut the cable. Like I'm not getting one to plan to use. I just want one more as a prop. Um, and it's one of those things. I've been meaning to buy one for years. Um, it's one of those. If I don't do it now, I'm gonna probably when I actually finally do. Like the price is finally going to like be stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
they're already pretty expensive, and they were way cheaper like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Don't
So
repeat of Unicron.
yeah, I need to just like bite the bullet and grab me one. Yeah, let's not talk about Unicron. I already had to buy a third party one coming out here in 2 months because I missed the HasLab one.
Yeah. Sad times.
Yeah, and here we go. So we're already segueing.
Segwaying.
The thing is,
We need an
the
animation.
one
Segway.
the one that I've ordered is supposedly the actual better one. There's been a lot of complaints that the HasLab one is he's not great. He does have some issues. Um, and the only problem with the one that I have ordered, even if he is a superior figure, he's short.
He's a
He
shorty, ain't he?
he's I mean he's still a big transformer, but he does not have the stature of the HasLab version, which I think is like 27
When
inches.
when you get him, you need to set him up, look at him, and tell him you're short, your belly button sticks out too far, and you're a terrible
Sure,
burden on your
terrible
mother.
burden on your poor mother. So, but yeah, when I get that one, I mean it's gonna be the best I can do. Um, and yeah, it's fine. It'll work. Um, I don't know if I'll display him in planet mode
Robot mode.
or robot mode. 'Cause
Which one makes him look less short?
well, actually, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is it may be more impressive to leave him in planet mode. Um, especially when I have to like size him up next to the HasLab Galactus that I ordered. I
Yeah.
did I did go in on that one. I'm like, I am not missing Galactus. That it was a very impressive figure.
Well, I
Um,
mean, to be fair, one's a planet, one's a planet eater. We're the both really planet eaters, but what can you
right?
do?
So,
What
but
can you do?
anyway, a little bit of a segue. You mentioned
Yeah.
Unicron, and
We haven't
uh,
talked about this one damn time.
so yeah, Mario 3. What do you got? What do you got on it? Kick it off.
So yeah, throw all the pressure on me. That's just great, and we'll go right with it. Um, Here's the thing that I found a little bit shocking on this is Mario 3. We really found out about this thing, I guess, at the time of its near release, um, through the Wizard, because I mean
Hmm.
it was in the trailers. Right, and when that trailer first hit, it showed Mario Brothers 3. That's of course we lost our freaking little kid minds,
You know,
and
I
then
I don't. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
I don't remember seeing a trailer for the Wizard. Now, and that in my case, that's probably because movies were still few and far between for me because
yeah,
I was right at that line of like, okay, you're old enough to go to movies now and go regularly.
and not pee
Um,
your pants or anything like that.
yeah, right. Um, I mean, but yeah, I don't remember the trailers. So for me, as I'm watching the Wizard, that shock reveal at the end was what like there's a Mario 3. Holy crap.
What?
Yeah.
And the thing and I remember thinking like at one point in my life when they showed that footage of Mario 3 in the game, I was like, or in the movie, I was like, was that a complete game? Yeah, is that like
Yeah.
development pictures? Is that just stages they've got
It
partially completed?
it had you questioning
Yeah.
like the legitimacy of like, was this Hollywood bullcrap they just made up to yeah.
Lo and behold, unbeknownst to us, this game had already been out in Japan for 2 years
I,
before
I
we
just
saw
I,
the light of day.
I just pulled up the dates to because I knew it was a while, and yeah, I mean
And
February 12th, 1990.
that's when we got it.
Yeah.
It came out in 1988 in Japan. I want to think it was for their disk system because in Japan they had the Famicom disk system. They didn't come in cartridges. They came in almost like in these little 3 1/4 inch floppies, is what it
Hmm.
reminds me of. Um, and so, I mean, it just goes to show the differences in regions and different countries and gaming equipment. But that was kind of like, wow, I feel gypped.
Yeah.
I think in 1988, I was still playing Doki Doki Panic and Super Mario Brothers Two Skins.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, absolutely. I think in '88, I was still playing your Nintendo, coming up and visiting you. Um,
dying in Russian attack and laughing about it.
yeah. I can see '88. Um, I would have been 5, and '89, Christmas when I was in first grade is when I got my console, my Nintendo. So yeah,
Yeah,
that Christmas of '89, I got my NES, and um, yeah, I'd have just had it for a few months before uh,
before this
before
thing
Mario 3 come out,
comes out.
and of course I had some of my earliest games were it was, of course, it came with Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt, Mario
Combo.
2. I wore it out, and then Mario Brothers 3, I think, was a birthday present, and that makes the most sense with the timing, it coming out in the winter. Having missed the Christmas window, so
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that June I probably would have got the Mario 3.
I'm actually sad to say I do not remember who or how or where or any specifics
Hmm.
on how I got mine.
Huh. Okay.
I don't.
I, I I
Does,
mean, there's
was I a selfish child? I mean, I don't. If I don't remember it, does that make me less thankful for it? Hell no.
no, no.
I mean,
I mean, because I've got quite a few that I don't recollect, and in some cases, I would say odds are those are probably birthday Christmas ones.
here's how messed up that is. I don't remember when or who I got this from, but I do remember getting both Rambo and Metal Gear at the same time for Christmas from my grandmother.
Okay.
That's kind of strange. And the difference is, I played the hell out of this. I played Metal Gear quite a bit. Rambo, not so much. It was a little bit of a cluster.
It's understandable.
Thanks, Acclaim. Which I think it was. I think it was Acclaim that did Rambo. Well, I have to look that up.
Hang on.
Who did Rambo? If you say LJN, I'm gonna like go throw up in the
Uh,
toilet right now.
Nope, Acclaim. It's on
Ha!
the cartridge cover.
There we go.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but and it's for whatever reason. I don't have an explanation, but there's just certain games that you know lost in the shuffle. It was a birthday. It was
Yep.
Christmas. But there are some that stick out, and you remember every little detail about getting it, when you got it, how you got it.
Yep.
Um,
It's kind of strange. The launch titles for the Nintendo when it first came out, those black label games that it had the black label on the game, and it was just a graphical representation of what the game would look like. I mean, Super Mario Brothers is a black label game.
mhm.
It came out as a launch title. The original, just plain Mario Brothers, is a black label game,
Yeah.
and baseball. So they released a little bit of a small sports library too, baseball and I think 10-yard fight were the two prominent ones, and they were Black Label games. I've got baseball, and so I remember getting it. It was at the time it was either Kmart or Roses, and this was at a time in which they didn't have these locked behind a glass case. They just had these in their boxes with the
Mm.
little hangers on them, hanging them up on the shelves, where any Tom, Dick, or Harry could come and grab a whole big handful of them and take off. Um, and so I remember a bunch of them there on like a side aisle, and my grandmother passing them up, and she goes, pluck, 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 throws them in the cartridge, and off we go. I'm like, okay, yeah. And baseball was one of those, and I think it might have been baseball, the Mario Brothers, and Donkey Kong 3, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
No, not Donkey Kong 3. Maybe it was Metroid, or it could have been Excite Bike. I don't remember because Excite Bike is a Black Label.
Hmm.
But I remember baseball and Mario Brothers being part of that. But yeah, I don't even know how or why we got on that tangent. Oh yeah, remembering how we got some of these things. I
Yeah, we
don't
got some of these.
remember.
Yeah, some of them they are. They're just kind of lost to. I mean, like I said, but there's some. Like we just said. There's very very vivid memories of getting them and who got them for us, or just who was with us when we
Yeah,
got them.
I mean, you'd think I've been huffing the propane, and that's why I don't remember. But it just makes me, yeah, don't recall it. Um, Black Label games. I mean, at some point or another, we'll probably do a whole thing about just a series of the Black Labels.
Ooh, that's where my experience is gonna really get fuzzy, especially because they were those first run games, and I mean, really, I came in, at the point that I had my own console and was playing games. I came in pretty late, really, with the NES.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I do remember Mario 3 was a birthday one. I think I may have rented it. Um, Possibly after we saw the wizard, and of course we had that excitement of having our minds blown. So I think Mario 3 might have been a rental initially, just to kind of get my hands on it.
That would make sense. Yeah, and Donkey Kong 3 was indeed a I've been calling it Black Label, but a black box game
Okay.
because it came in that black box and it just had the graphic on the box. The box art was just a representation of the game in its pure graphical form.
Hmm.
All that wonderful pixelated art. Um, and there were 30 of them. There were 30 of them. So 10-yard fight, balloon fight, baseball, Clue Land, Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, Gyromite, Hogan's Alley. I have Hogan's Alley. Golf, Excite Bike, Duck Hunt, Donkey Kong Jr. Math. Got to get that educational game in there. Blah. Bleh, says the person who played Mario was missing until the cows came home. Um,
I don't remember math in that though.
well, that's true, but
That
it
was
was
more history.
educational.
I'm a history guy.
Ice Climbers, Kung Fu. I have Kung Fu. Um, Mock Rider, Mario Brothers, Pinball, Popeye, Pro Wrestling. Um, what is that one? Can't see it. Slalom? Salam. Um, Soccer, Stack Up, Mario or Super Mario Brothers, Tennis, Urban Champion, Volleyball, Wild Gunman, and Wrecking Crew. My God, what a list.
pretty big list.
It is a big list. So my understanding is these 30 black box titles, where there's a few of them were like the original run.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said,
Um,
at the point I come in, I missed most of those. Um, yeah.
so if I take a look at the list here, there are one, two, three. I'm going to stop counting. There's at least 17 that were released all on October 18th, 1985.
Okay. So that initial push,
Yeah.
the launch window, what it used to be, and now it's like
Where
it's
are the
gone.
other 13, though? I don't see dates on them. Maybe it's below the damn you website. Oh, hmm.
Oh well, it'll be all
Yeah,
right.
it'll be fine.
It'll be all right. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty. I want to think my initial play was on a rental. Um, Snuck it in, managed to catch it when the little local movies is what it was called. Um, had got a copy, and of course, being the small mom and pop, like it wasn't like the blockbusters where they had it,
They
a
didn't have
couple.
14 million copies of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, and we were, I don't know, we were pretty lucky, small town. Competition wasn't that bad. I mean, I wouldn't say that we fought that hard to catch Mario 3 in
Yeah.
for that rental, that initial run. Um, but I do remember, like I said, because by the time, a few months later in June, got it for my birthday. Um, you were coming up and staying during the summers.
Hmm.
I do remember uh, me, you, and mom beating it.
Yep.
I do remember us beating it that one day.
I remember that. We were trying to figure out how do you. We had no power up left.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I do recall that. So
I mean,
anytime we went in there to fight Bowser, we were fighting him just like,
we were sucking fumes, man.
yeah, we were going on fumes and a prayer. We're like, how are we going to beat him? We can't jump on him. We can't. Wait a minute.
Oh yeah, that initial trial and error of determining which, if we come to find out, if we had the fire flower, you could beat him that way. You just had to unload,
Like
but
mad.
yeah. Well, and then just the challenge of the final castle. You know,
Hmm.
all the different doors and routes you could take.
It
Um,
was full of doors, and you had to. There was no looking this shit up online.
God no. I mean, honestly, it is a wonder at the time that we did manage to beat it. I guess no wonder at the same time it took three of us.
Yeah, I mean, you had
Um,
to trial and error that shit.
yeah. Um, well, and then and I'll admit it. I do remember. I remember I cried after we beat it because Peach started off with that fake out.
Oh yeah,
The princess is in another
another
castle,
castle.
and of course the Nintendo, the slow loading of the text. I cried because I was pissed. I was like, "Oh my god, we just went through hell and high water and all that bullshit, and we got to keep going." And
And she's like, just kidding.
then she did that. She faked you out. It was like, oh, but I remember because at first I thought you've got to be, in my child mind, the equivalent of this is bullshit.
I
How can there
spent
be more? How can there be more?
7 castles in the first one listening to that horse shit, and now you're gonna tell it to me now.
Yeah, yeah. And I give props to Nintendo. It was a cute nod to the original.
It was, yeah.
But I do remember I briefly cried when I thought it was real, and then she come out with the just kidding. So
Like, ugh. I
because
want to think.
World 8 was a beast.
Oh, it was horrible. Mario
Um,
3 was the first that I think it was the first that introduced that whole overworld map
yeah, it
idea.
was.
Um, I mean, Mario 1, you just played through the worlds. There was no map. You didn't select your stages or anything like that. It was just world 1 4 or 1 1 1 2 1 3 1 4. 2
Yeah.
1 2 2 2 3 2 4, and you played through them if you didn't use any warp zones.
Hmm.
Um, and each world had 4 stages. That was pretty simplistic design, but when Mario,
Was it 4?
yeah, there were 4
Yeah,
worlds in each.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
'Cause,
Okay, I
um,
remember now. Well, because Mario 2, it varied there at the end,
yeah, it
and
had,
then there was a 3. But I remember because it was, and the first world's a good guide. You had the level 1, everybody knows. Level
yeah,
2, everybody knows. Then the level 3 with the high mushroom jumps,
yeah,
and then the castle. So yeah, yeah. No, it got fuzzy.
it happens. But Mario 2 had 3 worlds or 3 stages in each world, except for the last one, and it only had 2 stages.
Yeah.
Um, but Mario 3 hit, and now you got this overworld. And World 1 doesn't have one, 2, 3, 4. No, there's not 4. There's what, like 6 different levels, and there's a mini fortress, and there's
Hmm.
these Hammer Brothers roaming the stage, and
Oh
you've
my
got
god.
this castle at
Well,
the end, and
and
it's
honestly, it's no wonder it took like a summer vacation and like all day grinding on it and warp whistles.
mhm.
I mean, just with a casual few minutes to play, like you'd spend half an hour, on World 1. I mean, not really. I mean, once you got good, yeah, you could breeze through World 1. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's no wonder. I mean, honestly, I think most of my playthroughs, I only ever, if I was not cheating, which eventually I hit a point where it was just like, okay, the wizard taught me to go grab that dang whistle.
I'm gonna grab
Um,
the whistle.
and then you learn about the second whistle. So, I mean, you knock out 2 whistles in the first world.
Yeah,
And but without that, typically my playthroughs would get to about world 3 or 4,
you
and
run out of steam.
something would always come up and I'd have to turn it off.
Yeah. Well, I want to think that day that we, I don't know, my memory might be going fuzzy, but the day that we did beat that, I want to think your mom had it going probably pretty much about all day, and
I think we
she
did.
she didn't turn it off, and
I think we
I
did.
I honestly think that she had played through most of it.
Yeah, I
She
think so
played
too.
through most of it, and at some point, because I remember that you would use, I think it was a cloud item, and that cloud item would allow you to bypass one of the stages without actually
Mhm.
playing through the stage.
Yeah.
And so that one world, I don't remember. I think it was. I can't remember which one it was, which world it was, but the stage you would always bypass that stage and get to the final castle, get to the airship, and just beat the world. But woes to you if that airship beat you, because every time that you went into that airship to try and beat that final boss for that world, it would move.
Mhm.
It wouldn't stay in the same spot. Excuse me. And I remember she went in to do the airship and didn't win it, and it moved past that world. So now, in order to get back to that airship, you had no choice but to
Go
beat that
back and beat
world
that one.
to
Yeah.
get to it. And I remember you saying something along the lines of, "You let it go past that world, didn't you?" She's like, "Yeah." And both of you looked at me like, "Can you beat that one?" I'm like, "Yeah." Why are you using a cloud to bypass it? And it was a swimming stage, and you would have to swim through it, and it had all the little shocky jellyfish just all over the place, and you'd have to maneuver through them
Hmm.
to get through that stage. And I went through it, cleared the world, and then off one of you went and beat the airship. And I that kind of sticks out for that day too.
Well, it was definitely a team effort when we did it. And so, I do think I remember on that run. I think we did it all.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, we each played a part in it.
yeah,
But I want to think your mom actually played through a good portion of the game before we ended up getting into it, and because she had it going like all day.
yeah. And she probably did. I mean, to this day, I mean, I've still not beat the original Super Mario Brothers, but she has, because she'd sit there and she. I mean, she loved to play them
She'd
back
chip
then.
away at
Yeah, and she'd get to World 8 and the original all the time. And God, those jumps,
it.
those god awful jumps.
They were horrible.
I never did. I just never, and maybe part of it was just the age and just the frustration of those jumps for me. But by the time Mario 3 came along, my skill set had improved.
Well, what about to this day though? Have you beat it to this day?
I just never gone back.
You know what? Having,
Easy.
I know. Now you're all, you're never mind. I forgot what I was going to say.
I was just saying that to this day, I've still never gone back to
Oh
beat
yeah.
it.
Before we watch any one movie, you're gonna have to beat that first.
I just don't know that I'm that motivated.
Just, meh.
I mean, I'm sure I could. I mean, my skill set is far improved from when I was 5, but I'm just kind of like, meh. I watched mom do it, and it was just princess instead of a toad. So
It's not bad. I mean, you use the warp worlds, you can do it in like 5 minutes.
yeah,
I mean, I'm no speed runner, but I can do it in like 5 minutes.
yeah. It's not been that monkey on my back that I've just felt the need to. Unlike some games where I have like, okay, I'm coming back and I'm going to beat you. You're not going to win this time.
Right.
So, um, yeah, kind of working. We could almost work backwards because we kind of started on the end. Uh, the world I remember the least is Pipeland.
World 7.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was a god awful pain in the ass.
yeah. You could almost argue almost as hard as World 8.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think what made World 8 real bad was it had probably the most worlds in it, or the most stages in it to be completed. I think is
all
what.
those damn cannons.
Oh my lord, that those ships.
If it weren't for all that, it wouldn't have been that bad. But it was just like the barrage.
There was that that one airship. It was like propelled by rockets or jets,
Hmm.
and it was fast. I mean, it was one of those auto scrolling stages that if you didn't keep up with it, you were
Oh, I hated auto
done.
scrollers.
And the thing is to get by it, you better hope and pray you saved yourself a P-wing
Yeah,
to get by that stage, because otherwise you're going to do it the hard way and you're going to learn today.
yeah, yeah. You going to school?
It was unforgiving.
But yeah, 7. I don't have many memories of it other than like maybe one or two playthroughs. At the one that particular summer. Um, but I always found it interesting because I liked the pipe aesthetic and the design of it. I always found it interesting. I just
Yeah.
then yeah, continuing to work on backwards. World 6, Iceland.
I think my favorite was always World 4, Giant Land.
Giant Land. Okay.
Because, I mean, it took your little normal sized enemies and it just made them. So you had this big ass Goomba coming at you. You're like, holy shit.
It it was a lot of fun. Yeah, Skyland was kind of meh for me. Iceland was kind of meh. I didn't think they were overly hard. But yeah, I'm with you. Coming on down to World 4, and then of course that's also the world where the Tanuki suit
Yeah,
debuts.
comes into play.
Yeah, and yeah, that was interesting to learn that one. And you're kind of like, now wait a minute, um,
Watch it, Mikey.
easy. He looks different. It's a full suit. It's not just a tail.
Right? Another one was just, it was ears and a tail, but he still had his overalls.
What's going on with this?
What is this?
And then yeah, turn into the statue, and I love reading the stories. And I've seen it in several documentaries. About how Miyamoto has gone on about kind of his inspiration. For the Tanuki suit. And there's a lot of Japanese lore.
Mhm.
Around that, and of course it's funny. It's their raccoons. They call them raccoon dogs. Um,
It fits.
yeah, it's their version of a raccoon, but it looks so different from American raccoons. I never connected that they were raccoons. Basically until obviously later, and you become more familiar with Japanese lore. The
Right.
interviews from Miyamoto, um, and then it just made it even more funny. And, it was funnier to me then because it's like, oh, it's a raccoon. It's just a Japanese raccoon. um, and it, and I realize that's part of their lore and history, but I almost wonder if they had like a surge of interest for them around that time, because there's actually an anime, um and it's from Studio Ghibli. It's not a Miyazaki one, but it's still from Studio Ghibli, called Pom Poko. Come out in '94, still somewhat close to that era, that time frame.
Right.
That's also about uh their raccoon dogs and their ability to transform and stuff. It's actually a really cute little anime. Um,
Hmm.
we bought it on a whim several years ago, mainly from the box art, because I'm like, look at all those raccoons. That's hilarious. We need to check this out. and it was a worthwhile buy. It was a good buy. I mean, it's a pretty funny, cute little anime movie. But yeah, I just wonder if there was something going on in Japan around that time that created a surge of interest in the raccoon
And
dog,
Tanukis.
the Tanukis. Yeah,
It's very well possible. And it, I mean, along with the Tanuki suit, there were the other unique power ups that were in this one that you didn't really see make much of a resurgence or a comeback was the frog suit,
hmm
and the Hammer Brothers suit.
the elusive Hammer
Hammer
Brothers
Brothers
suit.
suit. Yeah.
I swear I had the now in later playthroughs, I have got that suit left and right, but I swear as a kid playing,
Hardly got it.
I never got that thing. So then I
And
never ended up using it because it was like this precious gem. But when I did use it, I was like, I want more of this suit.
because our like every time you would use it, you lose it 30 seconds later.
Right?
Like, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, the Hammer Brothers suit. Um, you know, love the frog suit, and of course the underwater worlds, and then outside of that, it was you were just a walking turd.
Yeah.
That thing
Yeah,
is
the frog suit was terrible outside the water, but in the water, whoo, look at you go.
yeah. Um, gosh, so many. Of course, you talk about the cloud. To skip worlds.
Yeah.
And that was one that kind of, I don't know, was it in the manual? or that was just one of those ones like you didn't get a whole lot of explanation for it. You kept trying to use it, and it never made sense. And then finally, it lined up just right where you realized, oh, I can skip a world with this thing.
I'm not sure if it was in the manual or not.
Because I feel like there were several items that needed a little better, like the music box. Depending on the timing of the music box. If you'd done beat all the Hammer Brothers on a world, you wouldn't know that it puts them to sleep.
Yeah, you would have no idea what it
You
does.
just thought it changed the music of the overworld for whatever reason. um, but of course, you got the P Wing, which was just like God mode
It was
for
infinite
most
power
levels,
for flying.
unless you were just careless. Because I think early on there was also an with the P Wing where you didn't really know what it did, and then you used it on an underground level.
Oh no!
It's like, well, that's a waste
Whoops.
for a water level or something, something along those lines.
I'm still clearing my throat. Still coughing. Whew. There's usually the saying, "If I wouldn't wish this stuff on my own worst enemy," but I'm not that benevolent. Sorry. Um, so I pulled up a copy of the manual online because unfortunately, I don't know where it's at. We
Ah,
were kids. We've lost it. And, like,
I couldn't tell you where mine is either. It
um,
actually might be in a shoebox in the box with the rest of my game stuff. I just stacked them all together neatly. Yeah, I might still have it. I need to double check that one.
it's in the manual. It's called Jugum's Cloud, or
Jugum's
yeah,
Cloud.
or Jujem's Cloud. It's Jugem''S
I just called it Cloud.
Cloud.
Cloud
Uh,
thingy that makes me skip levels.
I always thought it belonged to Lakitu, but anywho, um,
Keydu's Clays. I done stole it. I'm skipping this level.
exactly. But it actually says it. It says allows you to pass an action scene without playing it.
Huh. Okay.
But yeah, it's got them all listed. The Super Mushroom, Fire Flower, Super Leaf, Frog Suit, Tanuki Suit, Jugum's Cloud, Jugum's, Magic Wing, the P Wing.
Yep.
You can fly through an action scene until you run into an enemy. Well, let's face
Great.
it, if you just stayed up in the air, you're not running into no damn
I'm
enemies.
about to say go to maximum altitude and don't come down.
No, come down.
But even then, you
Starman,
had to be careful because as you come down, sometimes they'd put an enemy in the black.
they would.
They'd sneak one in on you. You think you're
Mhm.
home free, and then oh
Oh,
shoot,
there it is.
what's that guy doing? Yeah.
You're not supposed to be here. um, the hammer. I forgot about the hammer. Use it to break the blocks
Oh yeah. Yep.
or break rocks. Magic whistle. Magic whistle. Not much is known about the magic whistle. See if you can find it. It says in the
If you
manual.
can find it.
Yeah. And anchor. This can stop the airships from moving.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the anchor all that much.
I don't either. Come to think of it. Um. Now, so how many whistles were in the game?
3 in total.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Um,
The third one I'm drawing a blank on. The first two I do remember. But really, I mean, you just needed
the 2.
two.
The third one was actually found in World 2, the desert world.
Okay.
And in order to get to it, you had to have the hammer. And there was a specific block at like towards the end of the world on the upper right hand corner. You break the block and it would extend the stage out another screen, and you would go down and fight a special hammer brother that you hadn't seen yet. And it would spit fireballs. Instead
Huh.
of throwing hammers, it was a fireball spitter.
Okay.
So you would fight it, and when you beat it, it would drop its little treasure box, and it was the whistle.
That last one.
Hmm.
I don't know that I have ever grabbed that third one. Then I knew there was three, but I don't think I've ever grabbed that third one.
Yep, it's in World 2.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would actually whenever I played it, I would play through World One. I'd grab the first two whistles, go into World Two, play through most of World Two until I could break that block, take out that hammer brother, and get the third whistle, and then I would I'd play a concert, just one right after
Dun,
the
dun,
other.
dun, 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 dun.
Which, by the way, nice throwback to Legend of Zelda and
To
Super Mario
Zelda,
Brothers 3.
which is a series we have not really touched on yet, and
No,
that's a nice can of worms for down the road.
hmm I mean, oh my lord! Just talking about the lore and the chronological order of those Zelda games it's going to be a nightmare.
I don't know that you can. I mean, they've tried, but
It's
like
out there.
every game they introduce just muddies the water. And yeah, there's
There's apparently three separate timelines
yeah,
that can be followed, and I think all three of those timelines diverge at Ocarina of Time.
yeah,
Depending on what happens in Ocarina of Time
because
is
you have the timeline where the hero of time failed,
mhm,
the timeline where the hero of time succeeded.
succeeded. And I'm not sure where the third divergence is or how that happens, but
I could I'll try and remember to pull it up or pull it out because I've got the Hyrule Historia book and it goes into a lot of that.
yeah, and I got to looking at that the first time. I was like, that's kind of a sad thought to play through Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the first Zelda release for the N64, and to think that he failed.
Hmm.
He didn't win.
Yeah,
Ganon beat his ass.
yeah.
And that's where your dark world, your horrible timeline comes into play. And the very
Hmm.
first Legend of Zelda for the NES, that's the timeline that game is set in,
Yeah.
where the hero of time failed. Kind of a sad thought.
Yeah.
So Zelda, Zelda 2, and I think A Link to the Past all fall under that timeline, which would mean Link's Awakening does too.
Yep.
Craziness. But anyway, it's a whole other
That is a very very deep rabbit hole.
man alive. That's a rabbit hole
Oh.
Bugs Bunny gets lost in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Bugs ain't coming out of that one.
yeah, my
Um,
duck.
but yeah, that's yeah. The whistle was a nice throwback. It was definitely less random than the
Yeah,
Zelda whistle.
there's a secret to that one too.
Yeah.
It's all in which way you're facing.
Yep.
I want to think facing right and up would warp you to levels in ascending order, and facing left or down would warp you to levels in descending order.
Okay. See, I never put that together at the time that I played. I was just like, well, let's see where I'm going this time.
So what happens? You ever wonder
Yeah.
why you just kept going back and forth? 4 5, 4 5, 4 5, 4 5. What the hell's going on? That's how I figured it out. I was like, what? What? Wait a minute.
Like I said, I was right on that younger side, the cusp of piecing things, and um, to our credit, we pieced together a lot of shit back then.
Oh, we did.
The kids today will never understand. And
And
and it's no wonder I see some like some younger gamers like just like throw their hands in the air and want to give the controller. They give it up and they get so confused. I'm just kind of like, you have no idea.
right?
You have no idea.
I remember I let JJ try, and this is when he was like maybe 5 or 6. I
Hmm.
let him try Super Mario Brothers, and I'm like, "All right, so you got to go, and if you touch him, you'll die. You got to jump on him." Okay, that's all right. Try again. He just would not jump. I'm like, what?
You have to
He's
jump
like,
over him.
yeah. He's like, here. I'm like, oh, we're doomed.
Yeah, it's
But he'll play Roblox like nobody's business. I mean, he'll brag about his 13 million kills he's got on one of those Transformer games in a Roblox. So, but he couldn't jump on a Goomba. Maybe have him try it again sometime.
Might have caught up now.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was definitely a lot, and I feel like yeah, at this point, this brings something up here. Nintendo finally hit a point where they understood, I think, balance and accessibility in their games because, Mario 3 could be tough,
yeah.
but it certainly wasn't as tough as Mario 1
No, it
or
wasn't
the
as tough
lost
as Mario 2.
or the lost levels could be.
Oh, yeah, Lost Levels is brutal.
And yeah, I think by this point Nintendo had started to pick their stride and really find that fine tune that area of, challenging but not
Doable.
but doable, right? Yeah, with sufficient and tolerable levels of effort.
Yeah.
um, some of the early challenging games, I ain't got patience for that anymore. This is my old man hopping on a soapbox or yelling at the clouds now. I'm just like,
Get off my lawn, you clouds.
some of these games now that they let out, and like the whole premise is this epic challenge, and I'm just like,
No,
I ain't got time. I don't have time for it.
no.
Um,
I mean, I want to sit down and play a game and just decompress.
right. And
I
I'm
mean,
not saying you don't, by no means, you don't have to hand it to me. I don't want that either.
right.
But I need a challenge fine tuned for a dad.
Yes.
So, I'm willing to put in some work, but I don't have hours to grind.
don't
Not
have
like I
that
used to.
don't have that kind of life anymore. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
there's
it's
other
it's
shit that has to be done.
yeah, recent example, Elden Ring.
Oh Lord.
I would love to play Elden Ring. Everything about the game like appeals to that fantasy interest inside of me, that, the exploration, everything I've seen on it. I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of game, you know, that I've played others, not in the souls crushing level of difficulty, but just the world.
Yeah.
Um, that's the kind of game I'd like to play it. And then I read the difficulty, and I'm just like, no. And I get kind of mad, and I see some, they argue, well, that game's not made for you, and I'm just like, why not? Is it really so
Hmm.
insulting or so difficult or so
Inclusive.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, is it such a big deal to add a little toggle that tweaks that difficulty, either give you more health, allow you to do more damage,
Take less
decrease
damage.
take less damage, the boss doesn't have as much health. Like, you're literally costing yourself money, because I won't buy this game because I know full well, and it doesn't matter how well designed it is or anything, I'm not going to buy the game because I know full well I don't have time for that level of difficulty.
Yeah.
And what would ultimately amount to frustration for me, because I'm trying to get through something and I'm like, I've got an hour. That's all I've got. And then I don't know when I'm going to get my next hour. Like,
And that's gonna sit there.
and it's going to sit there. And it's like, you've literally left money on the table because you didn't have one little toggle. And then you got this crowd that's just like, you know, get good. And I'm just like, piss off.
See, that's the crowd, unfortunately, that they've got the time to do
Yeah.
that. They've got nothing else better in their life to
I,
do.
I'll point blank say it. They
All
ain't got a
right.
damn life.
So here is where you actually get to see that gamers don't always really get along with other gamers. A matter of fact, they could be furthest from the truth. I mean, you can jump on any MMORPG and
Mhm.
know that gamers don't get along with other gamers because there are a lot of toxic, self centered, narcissist assholes
Mhm.
that are keyboard warriors, and the shit they say to you, they would
Oh, yeah.
not say to you
Oh,
in
yeah,
in front of your face.
just I mean, just using Elden Ring as an example, the stuff I have seen against people that have made the same arguments that I have, and I'm like, literally, what does it hurt you to have just a few toggles?
Hmm.
And so somebody that I don't have the time. If
I
I
mean,
was
if
in high school still and I had all the time in the world, fine.
oh yeah, if we were in high school still, if they met our high school versions, we'd run their ass into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee it, especially on playing what we played.
What we used to do. Yeah. Oh, I know.
Let's hand you a copy of Metroid and give you no access to the internet. Let's see how well you do.
No access to Justin Bailey.
No access to Justin Bailey. No access to nothing. You're starting down there with just you, your suit, and that little short-ranged pea shooter you've got. Have at
Well,
it.
I wouldn't even use. I'd say Ninja Gaiden. Let's put them through the ringer. But
Well, and I was trying to be kind. You want to really put him through the ringer?
Metroid's too kind.
Want to really put him through the ringer? Let's do Ghost and Goblin.
Ghost and Goblins. That just popped. Yeah, as you were saying, I was like,
Yeah.
he's going to say Ghost and Goblins.
Let's do Double Dragon 3.
But yeah. I mean, piss on them. It's like, is your
So,
goal to make money or not? A toggle
exactly.
would not hurt, and I would have gladly bought Elden Ring because it looked very interesting to me, but I just know I don't. I mean, heck, I've made it through both Doom and Doom Eternal, and those really pushed my time limit abilities to kind of grind and get good. Um,
Good scrub.
and
Noob.
that was on normal. It's just I just don't find that there's any harm in having a
Difficulty settings.
difficulty settings and stuff. Like, there you got the camp that's saying, "Well, it's not made for you." And it's like, "Why not?
I got money too.
I got money too." And like I'm not denying you your challenge. I'm not denying you. If you want to crank that sucker up and go through that, fine.
You want to be Billy Pixel Badass and crank that difficulty up? Go for it.
I don't even I mean, hell, you could call it for the babies mode. I don't I don't care, but you have left money on the table for something that had interested me. So, but yeah, anyway, that hell of a tangent. But like I said, I've seen so-called gamers, and you're not even a real
Yeah.
gamer at
I
that
mean,
point.
you're
But
not.
I've seen so many so-called gamers, spouting that crap.
It,
Like I said, Elden Ring is the one that pops into mind recently. But there are other games.
here's a nice deep philosophical thought for you: is that being a gamer in a gaming world when it first started off, it was a toxic environment because you had those people out there that would poke at you and make fun of you and bully you and be relentless at you because of what your interests were.
Hmm.
And even now today, being a gamer in a gaming world is still a toxic
Now we're just
environment.
getting it from other gamers.
Now we're getting it from our own
Used
type
to
of
be
people.
it was just from the just to use the stereotypical terms, the jocks,
Yeah.
um,
Nerd.
or the prep or the preppy kids or whatnot. Used to be just from them, and uh, yeah,
Yeah. And now we're getting it from other gamers,
from
and
other
it's
gamers.
because they think they're this elitist badass who, because they can play these games like Elden Ring and play it as well as they do because that's all they do, that they are the
Hmm.
most Billy badass piece of shit to walk the face of the planet.
It's like, no, you've got 16 hours to sit and grind on something, and I mean, I'm glad you do. I wish I had time like that
More power
again.
to you. But I
I
got other
do. I
more important things to do, like
raise my kid,
raise a kid,
go to work,
right?
and maybe work isn't entirely a fair one. There are gamers that still have that time that they do have their jobs, but um,
I mean, they got to
but
get the money
it's
somewhere.
just like it's not that easy. But yeah, I wish developers kind of,
Yeah,
like I said, it does you no harm, but you've now technically cost yourself money, and I don't know if they realize how much they've cost themselves.
and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I mean, I would like to be able to play Elden Ring and be someone as good as Let Me Solo Her.
yeah,
um, who, by the way, in my understanding, is not a toxic gamer because he was jumping in and helping players and
yeah.
fighting bosses for them. So kudos to them. But and also congrats on that sword that you got sent. That was pretty awesome, by the way. But the developers of the game actually sent them a real, honest to God replica sword
Oh wow.
from the
Yeah.
game because of how much fame that they garnered. But um, I would like to be at that level. You know what? At one time I was.
Oh yeah. We beat some stuff. I don't know how we did it. To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time in my life on fighting games that anyone that came up to me, I'd run them into the ground.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
so
You're
much
part. You're
now.
part of the reason why I don't play fighting games.
Yeah, sorry. But I would bury you. But not so much now.
Yeah. Um. And it's like, yeah. Well, and for something like that is competitive. I get having kind of, like I'm not arguing that I should be able to walk into a Tekken tournament and be able to be allowed toggles
Beat
but still
people's ass
compete.
like our friend does.
Right. I'm not arguing for, there's places for that level of difficulty. And if you want to be amazing, you put in that time and you can put it up against other players. But, for single player content, there's no reason.
There's not. There really isn't.
You're leaving money on the table. So, you're going against what you're supposed to be doing, which is making money.
And I guess it kind of goes back to the conversation we were having before we went live, in which, there's gaming developers nowadays are really starting to make mistakes, like
Oh, bad mistake.
bad mistakes. And it really kind of makes me wonder what goes behind their decisions. What are they thinking? What are they hoping to gain from some of the decisions they make?
Well,
How,
they've been allowed too much room with, you know, internet connected consoles, and we screwed this up. Well, let's try a patch. Let's try
yeah.
patching this. Or we rushed it, we missed this. We'll fix it later.
We'll push a patch out and take care of that, or we'll
They've
make a DLC to give them what they're looking for and charge
Yeah,
them $29 to get it.
they've been allowed way too much room to
Well, the unfortunate thing is people eat it up.
honestly, and that goes whether you're talking gaming or Hollywood.
hmm As long as
The
people are
other the
paying
other
for it,
as
they'll keep doing it.
yeah, the other aspect of our channel, entertainment, old school movies, things we enjoy, when you compare that to new Hollywood, there are so many franchises now that it's just like you're getting excited over shit.
Yeah,
You're not thinking about this critically, and you're just accepting whatever they feed you. And because you're not putting your foot down, we could do better. We could get so much better,
we keep getting shit
but
because you're
you
eating it up.
accept it. You accept it. You get excited over mediocre, things or absolutely terrible things. Um, I, you get excited over it, and they just keep shoveling it to you because
Mhm.
you're not putting your foot down. And yeah, same goes for Hollywood. And we'll keep getting this mediocre crap until people put their foot down. And I was thinking this earlier around other topics and just in general, but it's just like there's too many middle of the road people. And when it comes to and I know we're shifting from video games back, way in the Hollywood or in the Hollywood pool, but I've had conversations with folks over recent franchises and series and stuff. And when I point out the flaws, they just, oh, well, I didn't think about it that way, but eh. And I'm like, you're the problem.
Oh well.
These middle of the road people that can't pick a damn side or pick, something to stand for, and they just accept it. And I'm like, yeah, this is why. Do you not realize how much better it could be if we were respected like we should be?
Well, they don't respect us. What they respect is the money that can be given, and as long as they keep getting it,
Because of the middle of the road people,
yeah,
we're not even talking about the stands that just gobble up everything.
that's
Um,
thrown at them. Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at some of the coming supposed Marvel announcements, and I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, you're just throwing out buzzwords based on prior comic runs that were amazing.
there are Marvel franchises that they're about to get into now in the MCU that they really should have brought in a long time ago. Because
And
I mean
and
that
with
that shark has been jumped by now,
yeah,
and
and
now you're going to start bringing in the X-Men and the Fantastic Four.
I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it because
You're
Marvel Phase 4 is drastically different than phases 1 through 3, and you can see it. And I'm dreading it. And it's like y'all forgot what made y'all so successful is because you were so, you know, closely, I won't say on the money, but you were very close to the mark with
yeah.
phases 1 through 3 and your characters. And it showed, and the people loved it. And you see the difference in phase 3 or phase 4. And like I said, they're just tossing out terms now because they know the stands will lose their shit over it.
Sad world we live in.
Hey, we can't call them the X-Men anymore now. That's not really appropriate for now. So they're just the mutants.
The mutants.
Hey, Secret Wars, buzzword. Everybody knows Secret Wars. It'll have to be amazing. I don't know. I've turned it off. I have. Um, I know we've gone way off the rails here, but I have. I've turned it off. I don't. But it's those middle of the road people that just don't. I don't know. They're almost worse than the people, the stands, the people that are fully
Really for
all
it.
all for it.
Well, I mean, at least they picked a side.
I mean, yeah, right. At least they picked a side
At
as
least
as
they made a
wrong
decision.
as they are. They
I mean,
at least made a decision. But the middle of the road people, it's like you
here's
literally just agreed with me
here's the
that
unfortunate part that I'm going to have to fall on my sword is I can tend to be a middle of the road person. Um, is so Obi-Wan, for instance, and we're not wanting to go into this because we have a friend who wants to really jump in on these things and also Mortal Kombat. But
yeah.
Obi-Wan, it really had disappointing moments that I'm like, that was the
Why?
biggest pile of steaming shit I'd ever seen in an episode. I have seen better film on people's teeth than what I just watched.
Yeah.
And it and then I'm also of the type though there are some of its episodes that had redeeming qualities. Um my thoughts I think the final episode it did in a small way redeem the Obi-Wan character because he finally refound who he is.
Yeah.
It is it's of my opinion though that he never should have lost who he
But he
was.
never should have lost it. Right.
Right?
I,
You
I'll,
should
I'll
not have
agree
seen that hopeless, empty shell of a man that they had in the first few episodes. Should never
that
have
that they
existed.
suddenly pulled out of their ass because for all we've seen and all I've ever been led to believe and remember is Obi-Wan didn't falter.
Correct.
He
He
understood his mission and his job after the end of episode 3
and he did it
and he did it.
to a T.
The whole fucking series was pointless.
And the thing is, the whole fucking series, there's two of them, was him faltering. His mission was to protect Luke.
Never mind the continuity issues.
It was the Organa's mission to protect Leia.
And they fucking failed at that shit.
You have an entire freaking planet that you rule and that you are over with an entire royal guard to help protect this little girl, and you let bounty hunters take her? Give me a break.
3 of them or
Give,
4, I can't remember. I mean, I watched it.
give me a break. I know
I
she was a nice, adventurous little 9-year-old girl who had attention to, or had the whim to run out on her own. But by this time she's 9 years old. You should know what her little whims are by now and have people out ready for that.
I just it's modern Disney writers. We make shit up as we go to fit whatever we want and need at the time.
But
Honestly, the as I've digested it, the only part that I really liked in the final episode was the dialogue where he's like, you didn't fail me, you didn't kill Anakin, I did.
yeah,
That dialogue, that was powerful. That did get me.
that that was
The fight was still stupid.
like I'm a fan of Overpowered. I'm sorry, that was to me that
Well,
was awesome looking shit.
I'm not even talking the overpowered because I know you're a fan of the overpowered. But I'm not talking the overpowered. I'm talking the lack of logic in it.
They never really should have met to fight again.
They never should have met, but for all that we have been brought up on with detecting the force, force sensitivity, feeling out who's around you, what's going on. Vader just walks away. He doesn't detect that Obi-Wan is struggling using the force to hold the rocks up.
Right.
I'm just going to walk away.
The thing is like another 9 to 10 years later, he's standing on this big moon-sized battle station, going, "The presence I haven't felt since," because he's wandering around on the Death Star somewhere.
Right?
But you couldn't feel him
Again,
in that hole.
continuity with that show. I you know, the walking away, because the plot demands it. Bullshit.
Yeah, plot armor.
Yeah.
It's in the script.
But and like I said, I pointed this out. See, I don't even really think you're that middle on this. Compared to some people, like you're seeing a lot of issues. But when I brought this up to some other people, it was just like, meh, well, no, it's like it's a
fine.
problem. It's
It's
a big problem. Demand better, and we can have better. Anyway, let's get back to Super Mario Brothers 3. I'm sorry. That was a hell of a tangent.
Whew.
We're mostly in the wrap up. We've talked about,
Yeah, a good portion
Our
of it.
our
I
memories of
mean,
Mario 3, what it means to us.
I do feel like that it was what helped set the stage for all the future Marios that followed. That
It
overhead
was.
map, going to each one of the worlds, selecting them. It was still linear,
Mhm.
but there were places it would allow you to choose which one of these two stages you want to go to next.
Yeah.
Um,
You didn't have to do 4, you could just go to 5 or
right?
whatever,
You can
and
just skip it.
yeah.
And it did help set the stage for future Mario's that followed. Well, let me rephrase: the future side-scrolling 2D Mario's that followed,
Mhm.
because your Mario Sunshine and Galaxies and things like that, they wouldn't have their um, style of gameplay if it wasn't for Super Mario 64,
Mhm.
which I really didn't care for that much. It was all right, but
In the grand scheme, I mean, I played the full out of 64. I mean, I fully got every single star, did the whole shebang. Um,
I didn't give two shits about those stars.
most notable for finally having a voice for Mario,
Yeah.
which I have met Charles Martinet, just absolutely super sweet individual.
Who, by the way, for you Skyrim fans, is also the voice for the dragon Parthenax.
Ah, okay.
There you go. So Charles voices Mario and Parthenax. He also voices Luigi and Wario and Waluigi.
Yeah.
He does all of those.
Super, super cool individual. I mean, you can tell when I met him, he appreciates his fans, what has been given to him, what Nintendo has done for him. I mean, definitely one of the better celebrity interactions I've had over the years.
Yeah.
Great guy, super,
Um,
super awesome guy. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Mario 64 is. I mean, you're right. I don't go back to it. I go back to Mario 2, 3, and World.
those 2D side scrollings.
Yeah.
Um, and there are power ups that came in Mario Brothers 3 that I did miss in future installments. Super Mario World came out, and Super Mario World on its own is a masterpiece. It is fantastic, and it introduced that cake power up,
Mhm.
and really the only power ups that have been like a mainstay, I guess, since the beginning have been that fire flower and that star,
And the mushroom.
and well, yeah, and of course the mushroom.
You
Uh,
gotta have the mushroom to get
you
to
have to
anything
get the
else.
mushroom, but as far
But
as the
yeah,
other ones, they mixed them up. They never really introduced the same ones again, other than those three in any future installments.
yeah.
And so that Leaf and Tanuki suit, that Frog suit, Hammer Brothers suit,
There there was a lot that was special about 3.
they're
Um,
here.
and I mean, it definitely built the framework for what of course, I'm trying to think to the episode where we ranked them.
I'm not going to repeat it. I don't want to incriminate myself because I
Well,
am not going to try and remember that.
shoot, I'm trying to think now. Damn it. What did I rank?
Yeah, I mean that was kind of an on the fly thing,
It
and
was. But as I work through it, at least right now in this moment,
goodness
Mario
me,
3 built up so
Mario three.
much to World,
Yeah,
which I think might be my favorite.
I want to think I said Mario 3 was my number one, and I'm gonna have to, I will keep it that way. But World it
They're
is
close.
fantastic. Now
They're
we're gonna probably
tight.
look back at that other episode, and I said something totally different. But
I know. I almost don't want to look. I don't
I
want
know
to
I'm
look. I'm
not
going to
gonna
leave
look.
it. I'm going to leave it to someone else and the internet to go back and review that at some point in
Yeah,
time. They're close. They're very close. 3 and 4 are very close because there's a lot with 3. With the wizard tie-in. And the memories with it, and then there's a lot with World. And we will do a World episode too as
mhm.
well. Because there's so many memories and stories I'd like to tell about World that I recall.
world is absolutely huge.
But so much of world also just ties to the general release of the Super Nintendo
That's very true.
and the launch of that era. And for us, me and you and I, we were, you know, the Nintendo came out, but the Super Nintendo, that was the one we were really aware of. We were
Yep.
old enough, and the Super Nintendo to me set the tone for all future gaming and how we went. I mean, yeah, we played the full the regular Nintendo, but the Super is what, because again, I think in my mind at least, because we were old enough to appreciate this hype
Yeah.
and this energy around this launch of this next console, the Super, you
Yeah.
know.
I love how when they went from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, they kept the same, I guess, slogan, because the Nintendo, when they had advertisements, commercials for the Nintendo, it was now you're playing with power, and then so now the Super Nintendo hits, and now you're playing with super power
Hmm.
was their whole slogan, and I really like how they kept that.
Yeah.
It made it familiar,
Hmm.
kept it together. I remember I was in there digging this out, and because it's in a cabinet in there with a good portion of my older consoles. And when I opened it up, I looked, and there sits my SNES console, and then there's a bag underneath it, and I had to move the bag to get to the container that had this, and I picked the bag up, and I was like, oh, huh, what do you know? It's another SNES console where I had two of
Okay.
them. I had one at my house and then one at my grandmother's.
Okay. I don't know that I ever realized that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had it in two places.
At this point, I'm sitting on three
There you go.
SNESs. Um, my original, and over the past couple of years, I have acquired two Japanese Super Famicoms.
There you go.
And that could be an episode on its own or part of the Mario World episode.
It's gonna be all you because I don't have any of that stuff. I just got.
But I'm sorry, I'm a diehard. We got gypped in America. The Japanese Famicom, the Super Japanese Super Famicom, is way better looking, and I don't know why they had to redesign.
Dude, we got gypped on the regular Nintendo. I mean, the Famicom that released in Japan, the controller, one of the controllers had a speaker in it.
Yeah,
And in The Legend of Zelda, one of the enemies, the Pole's voice, its weakness was sound, it said, and that was a direct translation from the manual in Japanese. It hates sound, and so we're over here in America thinking to ourselves, "Oh, it hates sound. Play the whistle." It didn't do shit.
it did nothing,
What's it talking
nothing.
about? And unbeknownst to us ignorant Americans, the second it had that sound thing in it, and you would shout in that
Yeah,
controller, and it would kill every Pole's voice on the screen.
I mean that is one thing I'm thankful for in later years is the Nintendo of Japan and Nintendo of America synced up
Yeah,
and stopped this kind of like we're going to do our own thing. Like we're gonna sell what you have, but we're gonna do it a little bit differently.
yeah. I'm
Um,
gonna say it that they stopped babying us.
yeah, they stopped babying us.
Yeah, we
I
weren't
I
the
I still
weak,
don't know.
dumb Westerners they thought we were.
Yeah, yeah, I still don't know how they think that a redesign of the SNES was. I don't get it.
I don't either.
To me, it just cost them money because, I mean, when they released the Super Nintendo Classic a few years ago, at the time, I couldn't find a way to get a Japanese version. Um, and I probably could have if I tried harder. But at the time, it was, I could order from Europe, and the European version even looked like the Japanese version. I ordered from Amazon Europe. It may have been the UK specifically. I can't remember. Or no, Germany. I ordered the UK or the European version of the Super Famicom just because I liked the design better, and the controller had the multicolors instead of just two shades of purple.
That's true.
And I've always loved that way better. When I play my SNES Classic right now, I still play that European version. I just keep my SNES, the American version, just boxed up. I got it, but
Just like on the shelf.
yeah.
I've got the box on the shelf, but I have this out so I can actually, play it. I mean, I've moved it recently from the living room back into here,
Hmm.
so I've not got it all hooked up. It was just sitting there, but it's there ready to go. I need to do some rearranging. It's getting a little cluttered, but it's pretty awesome stuff. Whether it's the European or the Famicom, Super Famicom version, or this one, to me, it's all pretty awesome.
Yeah, that'll be some good stuff for a future episode. I mean, we've basically almost talked about it enough for an episode, but that'll be a good one. Yeah,
And, and we're approaching an hour and a half. We were like, it
we
might be a
did it.
short one. Every time we're
We
like, it might be a short one. We're like,
we
maybe not.
managed to find a way.
I know.
And I know the past 30 minutes hasn't entirely been Mario 3, but
Well, come at
um,
this point, you should expect it, folks.
yeah, that's the core of it. But that's the show. As far as it is what it is. We don't know where we're gonna go, but we'll get there. And again, we blew it at the beginning. With the like, share, and subscribe.
We're horrible at this. Why
We
are we
are. We're
so
terrible.
bad?
Terrible about remembering at the beginning. We always remember at the end, which most people have done clicked out if they're not interested in listening to us.
Why are we
Um,
so horrible at this?
I don't know, but yeah. So we got to get caught up. I don't know that we'll be able to pull off like a day. I mean, you know how hard it is to herd all of us cats.
It's true.
Um, but at the least, we need to find a way to just kind of get through the wizard for the next one.
Um, we'll think and talk about it and discuss it, of course.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, next episode should be the wizard. Um, we'll talk about that and go from there. But beyond that, I think we're at a good wrap up point. We won't overstay our welcome. We may have already overstayed our welcome.
Yeah.
I don't know. um,
Plus, I'm still feeling the fatigue effects. So,
yeah. So yeah, no, we're good there. As always, we appreciate you watching, listening, tuning in. Um, like, share,
share.
subscribe, and we'll keep this going. And like I said, next episode, um, it will be the wizard. Any other comments?
Good to go.
All right. Well, tune in for episode 7, the wizard. It'll either be in a week or 2 weeks, depending on how we get back on our footing, and
And once we watch it,
and watch it just for that refresher. So,
it's been a while.
thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next episode.